Um, Now, last night we had a 60 piece from none other than Damian Lillard.
Yep.
What's funny and what I hate about it is this. Dame, we talked about it. Carl expected the Blazers to kind of stay afloat for the entirety of the season. I will say off the dome, I didn't expect them to stay afloat. And kind of when you're looking at it now, they're kind of getting back into that shape that we kind of didn't want them to. They got off to this hot start. And even with Utah, too, who they beat last night, they get off to this extremely hot start. And then they just kind of fall off. And I think it's one of those things where what I didn't want this season to turn into, as much as I like the start, I like seeing Dame with a bunch of the young guys, and I like seeing him with, playing that like OG type of role with Anthony Simons and all of that. And these are very talented, competitive young guys on the team. But what I didn't want to see was them get off to that hot start, and then now we're going to get back into this position where we're like, Dame isn't going to win anything here. I don't want Dame to get stuck in the rebuild, and I hate to say it, but he's going to have to sit and wait for these guys' development. And that's as simple as it is. I love the 60-point games and the numbers, but it looks like that's what we're going to have to sit through and see again because the Blazers did fall off from being a play-in team or a playoff team, to kind of being sorry again. Even their defense fell off big time. Out there calling card, and they're crappy on that end.
I'd be trying to think, like, how does he deal with this on a day-to-day basis going through stuff like this? When the team, he has to kind of be in the process of a rebuild, and he's a veteran player on the team. He's already won some playoff series and everything like that. And for him to rebuild is kind of, I know that's a tough situation for a dude that's been in the league for almost 10 years like him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for him to play at the level he's been playing
I
at.
do it. I honestly don't. Lord knows I don't. I would have left after. I would have left after about 5 years. I can't take it no more. But I mean, I guess it just speaks to the type of person he is. But the real question is, I guess how long can he go on doing this? Because this is what it's like. It's almost like just a continuous cycle, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
I'm up there.
Yeah,
no,
you good.
I feel bad for Dame because I love him as a person and a player, and I really want to see him, get mentioned with some of the other guys in the league. I feel like he doesn't really get that respect just because he hasn't like won as much, or hasn't really won a lot at all as some of your Steph, LeBron, Giannis, and that kind of thing. I feel like he just doesn't get mentioned, but talent wise, he's right there, if not better. So.
No, his talent is just as good as anybody's in the league. I mean, Steph might be better, you can say that, but his talent wise, he's just as good as Steph as far as talent goes. So that's definitely true.
That's facts. And I don't want to. And I said it, like we said, we don't like him being in the situation. That's not because sometimes there are these guys in a situation where they're looking at their team like these guys, like I deserve better than this. Like I know Dame deserves better, but also I don't want to take any credit away. Good God, I don't want to take any credit away. I don't want to take any credit away from the young guys, right? Like Simons is playing very well. Like I like this young team around him, but it's just not an ideal situation for a vet who we're like, all he needs is a ring. Like, why should like Dame? I don't want him to sit through a development process. Simons is great. These guys are great players, but this isn't a championship team. And to a certain extent, a lot of the guys you're playing are really young. You got to wait on Shaedon Sharp's development. You got to wait on some of these guys that are in the rotation, to kind of prove themselves a bit. Then when you get to the playoffs, that's an entirely different story, right? You may not get deep in the playoffs because of a lack of experience. So I don't want to sit and watch Dame, have to do all of this and be this great of a player with this level of talent. This is all-time talent. He's almost as skilled as any guard in league history, but he's got to kind of sit through this development process.
He really is. Like, I don't think one player, and this is before Giannis, because Giannis already got his ring, so Dame's probably the only one left. I don't think it's one player in the league now that needs a ring, but a ring would solidify his career more than any other person in the league, more than any other player in the league at least. Because if he gets one ring in Portland, to me that's worth like 2 or 3. That one,
I agree.
It's kind of like with Giannis. Because he didn't team jump, he didn't ask for a trade. He just stuck it out, depending on the organization to build around him and everything like that. So that's why it's different.
Sure.
To win that one.
I agree 100%. I agree. And like I said, that's also taking no credit because I don't want to be that guy, to act like this team is, the guys around him are trash, whatever the case may be, because they're great young players, but at the same time, do we want to sit and watch Dame, kind of have to go through like have to go through this kind of rebuild process and go like and go from star player to star player. Like there was LaMarcus Aldridge, then there was the CJ McCollum thing, and then now there's this, that taking nothing away from Simons and those guys because they're great young players, and Shaedon Sharp showing a lot of great flashes here and there. But should Dame have to sit? Should Dame have to sit through like this process? And how old is he right now?
31.
Probably 30.
Yeah, and this Blazers team isn't going to be championship level because, like I said, even like this year, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not, unless they hit this big stride, which they could. They're not. So now next season, let's say you get to the playoffs, that's going to be another disappointment because these guys don't have a lot of playoff experience. That's a big factor. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen teams with a lack of playoff experience get that deep. Only team I can think of was Cleveland, like in 15, and they had LeBron. You know what I mean? But that's just about it. So your first playoff appearance with this team is not going to be great because you're still waiting on them to get that playoff experience under their belt, which they're not going to have. So I just don't want to sit and have him wait through this and actually be on a championship level team by the time he's 34 or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, because even the team, as you can see now, even the teams that he was on before that had like better, like more playoff experience, even they didn't make it there. Like they didn't even make they only made one Western Conference final. So it's just, I don't know, it's tough to be in the spot like he's in right now.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I agree.
But he wants to stay. He can't go back on his word. He said several times he's not leaving. He wants to stay. And he feels like people that leave or whatever or ask for a trade, not weak, but he just feel like you should be loyal to the organization that drafted you. So
that's
what
cool.
he feel. That's what he feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. And I think that alone, that point you just made, Carl, is why people don't use the ring arguments with Dame, because we always with the guys that don't have rings, we always like, oh, this guy don't have a ring. Like we always make fun of Chris Paul for not having a ring and all of those things. Dame's going to be one of those Charles Barkley. Dame's going to be one of those ringless superstars that I don't think isn't good, that I don't think is going to get criticized for that just because of his loyalty. You know what I'm saying? If he's able to hold on, if he stays with this team, you know what I mean? Because he gonna hear it if he move and never win a championship. He'll hear it then, but yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. I don't know, because teams jump do all this just to win championships, but it just won't hold the same weight as if you win it with the organization or the franchise you were drafted by. So that's just the reality of it. That's why LeBron has went back. He know that.
Yep. So. That's true. LeBron gained his credibility back as soon as he went back to Cleveland and won that title, because they saw them rings in Miami. It was dope, but then he started getting back into those. We started talking about him a little bit differently. We started comparing him to Jordan a lot more after he went back to Cleveland and brought that title to that team. You know what I'm saying? So bringing one to that team that drafted you is obviously always more valuable than kind of going to another squad and winning it. So.